Students at Sandy Hook Elementary School are returning to school tomorrow morning at a new location in a different building. But of course, nothing can erase the memory of what happened last December when Adam Lanza killed 26 people at the school. Joining me now is a man who has a novel idea to try to prevent the next school shooting. It's a bulletproof whiteboard. George Tunis's company, Hardwire, makes the whiteboards. He's sold them to around 100 schools in 5 states, among them University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. He joins me along with Ernest Leatherbury, who's the campus police chief at the university. Welcome to both of you. So, George Tunis, tell me why you came up with this and why you think it would work.
Our company is an armor company full of engineers, and throughout the war and several DARPA contracts, we were able to create armor that protected our troops overseas. And it was a natural extension of that armor line, because we were saving a lot of lives overseas in truck armor and overhead cover armor, to begin to outfit police forces with some of the newer technology. And that became shields for drug interdiction teams and border patrol units. And after Sandy Hook happened, I'll never forget it. I was actually caught the actual story a few days after it had occurred. I was traveling, and I saw it with my son sitting right next to me on the couch, and I was like, this same technology can apply to your school, and the armor needs to be there. Sandy Hook was done and over in 3 minutes, and the armor needs to be in the hands really of the teachers, because they're the ones that are there to protect the students. So the idea came that day. And
can it stop an AR-15 in the hands of somebody like Adam Lanza?
We make all levels of armor. So the armor that we've outfitted many schools with is NIJ level 3A. So that's exactly the same armor that would be in a police vest. We do make armor that stops all assault rifles, and that's called NIJ level 3 armor. So a little bit heavier, a little bit more expensive to do that exact thing, but we make that level armor and above, and of course we make military armor to stop some of the most dangerous IEDs in the world.
Okay, let me bring in the police chief here, Chief Leatherbury. Are you supportive of this?
Yes, I am. I am supportive of anything that aids us in ensuring the safety of our students, faculty, and staff at the university.
Is there not a slight danger of chicken and the egg here? I mean, is the real problem not the gun, rather than preventative measures for when somebody bursts in with that gun? I mean, my argument would be, how does this stop somebody like Adam Lanza with an AR-15 and a 100-bullet magazine, for example?
It's a great question. We might both be able to answer this, but when he burst in at Sandy Hook, the teachers had nothing. I mean, they literally have no armor. And, you know, today, I remember when police vests were new, and now every police officer has a vest. In the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, we went to those wars without enough armor and had to hastily up armor
right.
those
I mean,
trucks, and it made a huge difference.
I see. Look, here's my thing. I get that for law enforcement and for military. I suppose my question for you, Police Chief Leatherbury, is: do we really want to start militarizing all our schools, all our classrooms? Where does it end? That do you end up with kids having to go to school wearing effective suits of armor?
I don't view this as militarying our university. I see this as a proactive step to ensure the safety of our community in the unlikely event that someone does come on this campus with the intent to harm our student, staff, and our faculty.
Yeah.
Okay,
Here's one of the key things for us.
Yeah.
One of the key things for us was to make it blend in, and so that it doesn't look like a militarized campus. And you can see, one of the whiteboards here happens to be a yellow board, but adding colors is to do exactly what you said. We don't want the campuses to look militarized. In fact, I have 2 kids in school. They're young, and I don't want to take away from their innocence.
I get it, and I think it's a very interesting proposal, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure what I think. I'm going to debate it in a moment, but first of all, I'm going to go to another man who believes in bulletproof doors. Maybe the answer to keeping classrooms safe. Jim McCarthy is the president of the Pacific Bulletproof Company and joins me now. So, similar kind of theme, but you're going more for genuinely bulletproof doors.
Yes.
And this is the kind of thing you're talking about.
Well, this is this is we make corporate room ballistic doors out of this. It's clear. A lot of corporate rooms, conference rooms are, with a clear door. This is the door we're proposing for schools, which is just if you go to any school, it's a steel door.
Right.
Right, steel classroom door. This is the same look classroom door. It doesn't make fear of everybody. It doesn't
Are they
create fear.
prohibitively expensive?
No.
So schools around America could have these relatively cheaply.
I think so, yeah.
And how do you feel? Are you a parent yourself?
I have 2 kids in school.
How do you feel about my just concern about the militarizing of the education process for kids?
You know, I think kids should be able to go to school in an environment that is not full of fear. They can't learn if they're full of fear. I also believe that kids need adults to protect them. And like with the whiteboard idea, you know, if the kid has to hold it up, I mean, that's traumatic enough as it is. You know, we make all kinds of bullet-resistant products for banks, for government, everywhere. And we've spent the last 6 months fielding calls from schools ever since Sandy Hook. And they've been saying, hey, what can we do? So they gave us a problem. So we did a lot of research, and we said, look, we can make a door that looks exactly like your classroom door.
And would that door, with that substance, stop an AR-15?
No, this door would not. We can make the same door that would, same looking door that would, but that would be a little cost prohibited for schools for every classroom.
See, that I think may be one of the issues here, because unless it prevents an AR-15, which is the preferred weapon of all these mass shooters, and has been used in like the last 5 or 6 mass shootings in America, unless it stops that, I'm not sure that it's anything more than fiddling while Rome burns, personally.
Well, okay, we looked at that, and one of the things, like we work with banks. If you go to any Chase bank, you're going to probably see our work, okay? The bandit barriers,
Right.
okay? And 20 years ago, I opened this company because banks were having major problems getting robbed, and the cameras witnessed the robbery, but it did nothing to prevent it, okay? So when you put a barrier there that they can't get to the money, they quit robbing, okay? Now, this may not stop the AR-15 bullets from going through it, but it is going to stop them from getting in the classroom and doing hand-to-hand shooting of kids, which is going to eliminate a lot of fatalities. And so it's not an end-all, be-all, and no one product's going to be. But this is going to slow up the person and get the time for the police to come and respond.
Jim McCarthy, thank you very much. George Tunis and Ernest Leathery, thank you both very much as well. When we come back, I'll get into all this with a man who usually disagrees with me about everything, especially when it comes to guns and schools, but he might be surprised. Ben Ferguson is on the grill tonight.
I call on Congress today to act immediately to appropriate whatever is necessary to put armed police officers in every single school in this nation.
That, of course, was the NRA's Wayne LaPierre calling for more guns in schools in the wake of the Sandy Hook massacre. He had, of course, said the complete opposite a few years before, but that's Wayne LaPierre for you. You know where I stand on guns. I think that generally you have to reduce the volume. On the grill tonight, a man who disagrees with me, Ben Ferguson, CNN political commentator and host of the Ben Ferguson Show. So, Ben, I'll concede that I can understand why a lot of parents in America, following Sandy Hook in particular, have concerns about their child's safety and perhaps their gun owners and responsible ones, and they think it makes perfect sense to have these bulletproof boards or bulletproof doors and so on. But I've had a lot of tweets since we did this segment just now. One here from @photography_forward. It says, they are treating the symptoms, not the disease. What a frightening country to bring my kids up. And that's the other side of the argument, that you start militarizing schools with bulletproof doors, bulletproof. Where does it end? Do kids have to wear bulletproof vests?
No, I don't think so. And I think you've got to look at 2 aspects of this. We have to do more on mental health. I think we can all agree on that issue. But I also think the doors is actually an interesting idea, which does not take a gun to help protect kids. If you do put these doors, even the door the man was talking about a moment ago, where he says, hey, it's going to give the teacher time to move those kids into a corner and take that shooter a lot longer to get into that room if he gets in at all. That's the same thing we did with airplanes after 9/11. And I don't feel like I'm getting into a militarized zone when I get on an airplane to fly somewhere. I feel like I'm getting on a normal airplane that has an armored door that I know is helping protect the passengers from terrorists, from bad guys, the same way that this door would help protect students from a bad guy, from a terrorist. And this is one of those steps where I say, here's a little compromise. Maybe we should look at this. Obviously, I think having first responders there that can help protect kids is the best case scenario, but this is one I can get behind.
But isn't there also an argument that says if even these bulletproof doors and boards can't stop an AR-15, what the hell are we doing in America still allowing AR-15s to be sold to civilians? I'm serious.
Well, I think I understand what you're saying, but I also think there's a lot of things that don't stop a lot of bullets. And if you have a bad guy that's got 1 bullet or 100 bullets, he's still a bad guy with a bullet. And if you give him any type of gun, he's a bad guy with a gun. I still go back to the core of this. We have to start doing a better job of going after the black market and going after people that break gun laws and putting them in jail for a long time. We had a shooter the other day that went to school. He was a convicted felon. He wasn't allowed to own any gun, yet he got multiple guns on the black market. So you can do everything legally to say a guy like that can't have a weapon. And you can do a lot of things with mental health to say people with mental health issues can't purchase a firearm. It doesn't mean that they're not going to find one or multiple like we saw in Georgia, and then you still need someone to fight against them and shoot back to save people's lives in 99% of those situations.